Hello and welcome to another edition of The Big Question with me, Ian Pelham Turner on ALB UK Television. Today I'm talking to Buky Olufemi. I've got the name right!
Right.
Oh, do you know, sometimes guys, when I do shows like this, and you can imagine Albanian names are slightly awkward for me, and now, but this wonderful lady, you work on Pulse 88, the radio station.
That's correct.
You're a presenter and you're also a journalist as well. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. And she said she's so nervous. She said, I was more nervous about saying your name. So it works. How did you get started in journalism?
Brilliant. Okay, you won't believe it, but it is true. I've always been told from a young age that I was supposed to be a journalist, but I ignored that because I was like, I'm going to be a painter or a writer.
Okay.
I saw the film Bridget Jones, as we all did, the first one that came out, and I thought, that's me, that's what I want to do. So I did go off to uni. Not a lot of people know this, but I started off as a scientist. And
did you?
I did, actually. But the funniest thing was in my second year, I just knew I was on the wrong course. I was sort of journalism students, and I thought I'm missing out on something. Yeah. So a couple of years later, I did go back and I'd got my master's in journalism.
Very good.
It was great, honestly. We had a great university. We had top lecturers. It was actually Kingston University.
Okay.
Yeah. So, a great lineup, honestly. My lecturer herself was the deputy of Good Housekeeping magazine.
Really?
Yeah. And actually, we got to meet the incredible, absolutely brilliant Trevor McDonald. Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about him in a minute.
Gosh. Yeah, you've got to.
I've only met Trevor McDonald once. And it goes back to 1974.
Wow. Right.
And Trevor McDonald, like myself, we were just working on, he was working for television in London. Sure. He was actually at the BBC at that time, and then he moved right here.
Of course.
And I was working for a newspaper in London. And there'd been a hijacking at Heathrow Airport.
Oh, gosh.
And this aeroplane had been put at the far end of the runway.
Okay.
And so we couldn't get anywhere near it because of the security, obviously.
Right.
But we could because we found that there was a farm about 100 yards away from the aircraft. And with very long lenses, we could still concentrate on the plane.
Brilliant.
And so, but by the time I got there, it was dark, totally dark, and you couldn't see a hand in front of your face. And we were wandering, and it had cows in the field as well. And so we were trying to stop the cows mooing, and we were in the end, I was crawling along on my hands and knees.
Brilliant.
And we got to the hedge where you could look over the top of the hedge and you could see the aircraft. And with a long lens, we thought, great, if anything happens, we can now sort of show this. And but before too long, other journalists and photographers were there as well. We'd all found this same film. Right. And we were all chatting away to each other. We were all having a laugh. And all of a sudden, I could see this white teeth.
Right.
It was so black.
Yeah.
All you could see was white teeth.
Yeah, glistening teeth.
Laughing at our jokes. And that was Trevor McDonald.
Oh, brilliant.
So I've only ever met the gentleman once, but he was a gentleman as well.
Gosh, he's awesome, isn't it? He's got a great presence about him and he commands attention. So it's what I did remember from it. And I just thought, I'm in the right place. Yeah. So, so I met with Trevor McDonald and then graduated. And then straight away, I was like, started writing for different magazines, lifestyle magazines, entertainment magazines, the usuals, the big names. And so my background is in print, but very quickly moved on to broadcast presenting, only accidentally really, because I'm a wordsmith. I love words. I love interviewing. I love really finding a story and just delivering a really exciting story. But every time I went to a magazine, the editors will say, oh gosh, Buky, you're great at reporting, you're great at interviewing. I very quickly became the go-to celebrity interviewer. Excellent. So yeah, I was told by a BBC member as well, who I accidentally bumped into when I was younger, that I should be presenting. So after a while, I was like, oh gosh, all right, maybe I should. So, I went on very nervously, and I applied for my first radio station, which was FM1 FM a couple of years back. And then after a while, and more recently, moved on to Pulse 88. Now, Pulse 88 is a digital radio station, and very new, early stages, been around for 3 years, but they're amazing in what they do and their contacts. So I wanted to bring a different edge to them, a journalism edge. So just to do the hard one-to-one interviews with celebrities. So currently what I do, I'm very new there. And, what I enjoy doing is just securing the interviews with the hot celebs and just having the one-to-one conversation with them, hearing their story. And so I bring just personality to the radio station. So if you can imagine, it's like a 2-hour slot of just pop, R&B, and just delivering a fun-packed show. Really, it's all a bag of fun.
It is, and I commend young ladies like you doing it, because I've been a journalist 53 years now, and we met, strangely folks, we met on the tube the other night.
We actually did.
I got confronted by this drunk who I sat down. It's typical of a Saturday night. I should never go out late on a Saturday night. I keep on telling myself, but no, I keep on doing it. So, and I sat down, and there was this gentleman who had obviously had quite a lot to drink, and he said to me, I was dressed like this, and he said, I love Edwardian outfits. And I'm thinking, I'm not wearing an Edwardian outfit. But I thought, oh no, here we go. And so for 20 minutes, as you know, he was talking to me, and the whole carriage started listening to this conversation. It wasn't a conversation, really. No. It was really
talking at you.
Him talking at me. So at the end of it, you kindly said, I don't know how you managed to sort of deal with this. And I said, I'm a journalist. I'm used to these types of people, used to handling things like that. And you said, oh, so am I. And that's why you're here today.
That's right.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So when it comes to celebrities, I mean, I've worked with a lot of celebrities as well. What type of technique do you use to actually put them at their ease?
Right, I think it's all about rapport, it's just having that one-to-one conversation. It's really about making people feel at ease with you. I think you can't have a conversation until you have a proper conversation. And it's just making people feel relaxed, like here we are and we met. And it's just having that one-to-one rapport, that one-to-one conversation. I think when people are comfortable and they feel at home, they're more likely to open up and talk to you. So, so that's what I go on, really. And that's what I lead with, And I think
it is happiness, because, I've worked with a lot of celebrities in my time, big international Hollywood stars, a lot of them. In fact, even helped train some of them as well. One of the people who I worked a lot with when he first started was Christian Bale.
Oh, wow.
So I worked with Christian Bale for 3 years when he was a young boy in Britain. He'd just done Empire of the Sun, the Spielberg movie, and I worked with him for 3 years to try and give him what he wanted at the same time. But I think, for me, the reality a lot of the time was preparation.
That's right.
So how do you prepare?
Well, basically, you've got to know you've got to know the person you're interviewing. It's really important to do your homework. You can't just rock up and think you're going to wing it, because, it's an honour to speak to the person in the first place. You're interviewing them because they are someone special, and they do bring a lot to the platform that you interview them on. I think it's really important to just go for the questions, that everyone really wants to know. And, just allowing them to open up, doing your research, find out who they are, what they do, what have they been doing, what they're doing next, you know, what's current, what's trending, how does it apply to your station? And it's also about bringing in the, you know, the viewers, you know, they love them for a reason. So it's just having that one-to-one and getting them to open up to you. So research is a must, you know, it's not all about conversation. You've got to do your research, you know. And also I think it's really key that a lot of people don't remember as journalists is that you are there to interview the person. It's not about you. So it's great to have a conversation, but we really want to really have an in-depth all-round knowledge about this person. So it's about, you know, setting that comfortable tone, speaking to them, letting them lead, and letting them take it away. And then now and then you can interject and, you know, round it up. And yeah, we're here to see them, so let's do that.
I think it's very important as well to do all that, understand, because I used to find some of probably the biggest stars in this world who I worked with were very shy people as well. And so for me, when I was working with them, either as a photographer or a journalist, I would create the framework. I'd always be there perhaps an hour beforehand. I would create the framework and where they could come and sit down and they could do 30 seconds, 30 minutes or 30 hours. It depended on how comfortable they were at the same time. And I think because of that, and I'm sure you probably come up against it as well, I got a reputation for working what was known as the very difficult celebrities.
Oh, brilliant.
And PRs, when big celebrities used to come into London, if they were difficult, they would always send them to me.
Right.
Because they knew that they couldn't take offence with me at any time at all.
That's right.
And I think it's very important. Where do you want, I mean, at the moment there's an issue today as well with immigration.
Right.
Now, for me, I fight any form of racial prejudice. I'm very, very strong on it. This channel is very, very strong on it. For over 6 years now, you know, we started Good News Britain 6 years ago, really as an attempt to actually break down barriers and really extol the virtues of all communities. But I mean, today there is this story about Priti Patel, the Home Office Minister, saying, yeah, she's going to cut down immigration. How do you, as a young black person in a very, really, I was going to use the word explosive community at times. How do you feel about something like that?
To be honest, I think what makes us unique, you know, Britain, London itself, you know, our very strengths, it's the fact that we are a cultural melting pot, you know. We're like a kaleidoscope of colours, and with that comes so much talent, you know. I think it's important to get the balance right, you know. You've got to think about, obviously, the people that are already here and making sure that they have access to all the amenities and all the resources that they need, from healthcare to education. But it's also important to remember that we are, as ethnic minorities, part of the tapestry of England. You know, if you look at the history, building up to what it was, you know, a lot of people don't know the history on that side, and it's from, you know, from building, you know, the community when, you know, obviously when the war was on, and from the soldiers helping in to fight other, right. So it's, you know, but obviously, you know, it's, you know, so it's very important, I feel, to get the balance right. I think it's a balancing thing, you know, not just us, but, you know, in Africa, in Mumbai, in other, France and other places that are taking in immigrants, you know, it's just making sure there isn't a burden on society and where everything's stretched out, but understanding that we come together and we are a body and we help each other, from doctors to nurses. A lot of them are from abroad, you know, so it's getting the balance right and to make sure that the talent that we need does come through, but there's a balance, you know, and I think that's the way forward. I think once we understand that we are a multicultural society, and I think that's the strength of Britain, it's just getting the balance right.
Do you feel, as a woman of colour and a woman, there's still a glass ceiling? Are you hitting your head against glass ceilings? How How does that feel as well? I mean, to explain, and the viewers know, I'm the biggest feminist you'll ever meet. I fight female causes, I fight ethnic causes all day long. For me, I cannot stand the attitudes. I'm not a Brexiteer, to be honest. I think it was racist. A lot of it, and it's not my Britain. That's not my Britain. That's my statement. People know that. How do you feel?
It's interesting actually, because I have been a journalist for a while, and I've had peaks and troughs. So I'm always told, you know, gosh, you're great and you bring so much skills, and you know, I can see you doing so much stuff, and there's a wealth of talent there.
So are you saying, well, why don't they recognise it?
But why don't they recognise it? And it's like, I'm great, you know, I'm great, get me on there, you know. And you know, it's funny because okay, like I'll put it this way: we do have to work twice as hard as our Caucasian counterparts, you know. And number one, you know, my name's Buky. Okay, it's not Becky. It's, you know, you can't confuse it with Brown or Smith, or you know. So it is quite exotic, and you know, when it's that whole process of just making sure that different doesn't mean bad. It's actually great, and it brings a wealth of skills and talent, and you know, and I think that's what we need to have those conversations more around the office, you know. If they've got the talent, get them in.
Precisely. Because I think these days, you know, I look at, I wouldn't, and I think I might have said to you this already, I wouldn't want to be a young person today. You know, I think, don't get me wrong, I think it was a very tough industry that I was in. You know, I was in Fleet Street for a long time with national and international newspapers, so it was a tough environment. But I think as well that, you know, where we want to go with Positive Britain, which is a coalition of ideas that we've created with ALB and other partners, to actually start looking at specific issues that may be facing communities, but may be also facing the Britain, you know, after Brexit, you know, are important. One of the aspects that we're looking at is, which I think is very important, is knife crime. It's seen as a black issue. Right. I'm not sure that it is. No, you know, to be perfectly honest, but you know, there's this sort of gang culture as well. From a now, I suppose. In fact, I can almost hear my father saying this to me. You know, now, you know, why have you put that music on? You know, this was like the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones. You know, why have you got that music on? I just wonder today whether some of the music cultures actually incite violence in some way. I don't know. What do you think?
Right. It's a really interesting topic. You know, unfortunately, there is a stereotype that gets perpetuated. Right. So we'll look at the first thing, and it's the knife crime. And unfortunately, I'm young myself, but even for me, there's like a disconnect with the younger generation. It's like it is a it is a topic that cannot be ignored anymore. You know, it's spiraling out of control. And the truth of the matter is it affects every ethnicity. It's not a black issue, and it's quite scary because just talking to younger people, you know, I didn't grow up in a like particularly affluent place myself. I grew up in Shepherd's Bush, and back then it was quite rough. But what they have now, or what I didn't know till recently, was there's things like postcode wars where young people, if they go into a different area from where they live, they can run into other crossfires with other gangs. And I think there's a huge disconnect between the generations, and people don't understand what has led to this. And I really, truly believe that when they took away, you know, it's just things for the young kids to do. It's youth clubs, it's football, after school football, it's netball, it's dance classes, it's all of these things that, you know, with this whole, you know, we're trying to move forward, and you see cafes popping up, and there's the whole gentrification, and it's like, and all these flats popping up, and it's great, we're moving forward, but at the cost of what? You're pulling away these youth clubs.
Absolutely.
And if they don't have anything to do, if these kids are idle, what else are they going to do? They're going to get up to mischief, and that's what we're dealing with now. Unfortunately, what people don't realise is that it's not just a South London thing. It's actually a quite well orchestrated, and it goes far out to the countryside. So it's young people, and they are getting initiated from little things like, you know, we'll buy you chicken, and we'll buy you chicken and chips, and we'll hang out in the places you hang out, and then you're indebted to us. And, you know, it's really sad issues like this, and we just really need to go back to basics, open this after-school work clubs, the dance workshop, the football. You know, what's great is that there are initiatives going on, and we really need to shine a light on them and get behind them. You know, places like, you know, if you are creative, if you do music, channel it the right way, and be in music, learn how to be a music, get in that studio, you know, get behind all these lovely projects that, you know, because you know, the young generation, they're so clever, they know what's going on, and they know when we're failing them as well as adults. So I think we need to rethink that whole issue.
Which is great, and I think, you know, the reality at the moment is, you know, I worked with the Metropolitan Police and different departments as well, and there's this, how do you stop something like this? You know, I mean, it's, and I quite agree with you. When I first started Good News Britain 6 years ago, we were then asked to work within Tottenham, and that area police force, because it was seen as one of the main instigators of the 2010 riots. And the Chief Superintendent, Victor Elisa, a very fine policeman as well, from Nigeria, because he was black. You know, they pushed him into this role, you know, typical Metropolitan Police, they pushed him into this role. He was very, very good, very, very on top of it, and helped to gain a lot of recognition and funding. But then all that funding was taken away. And I remember one day, you know, I used to walk around the streets of Tottenham, and I'd look like this, and people would look at me as if to say I've come from outer space, you know, to start off with. You know, in fact, mothers would push their prams to one side, in case I had some evil intention, I think. And one day I walked into this building, and it turned out to be a building that housed local businesses supported by the Borough Council as well. And I just wanted a cup of tea. I saw there was a cafeteria, so I wanted a cup of tea because I've been walking on the streets. And in one corner was this group of individuals, and they were discussing a business project. And I could hear from what they were saying, they had been totally misinformed about this business project. I walk over to them and say, hope you don't mind, you know, I'm interested in meeting you, talking to you. You know. And then it turns out that the reason why they're having to discuss this is that all the 30 businesses in that building have been thrown out. They were all black businesses. They were all young people. There was including a radio station as well that was highly successful. And they were being thrown out of the building because the funding had been stopped.
That's right.
So they'd given a 2-year period just to really get rid of the issue from a political point of view, and then the money had gone. So I think it's quite right, you know, what you've actually accentuated right now, that money is an issue, and I think funding is very important. What we're aiming to do with Positive Britain is to actually teach young teenagers, and especially young black teenagers. And do you know what? Sometimes I hate even thinking that's the focus, because it should be for everyone. But I think there's such a problem, I perceive it, there's such a problem there where I want everybody in Britain to feel like a first-class citizen.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I ask you, do you feel like a first-class citizen?
I nip in and out. You
see?
So, you know, I think when you speak to people, and until you open your mouth, they probably have a perception of you. And then I think when they hear a familiar accent or a familiar voice, or, you know, just a certain kind of lingo that we talk, then they feel at home and they open up to you. I think Britain is amazing in the sense that, you know, I went to a great school, I come from a great family, and I have great friends, you know. But sadly, there are situations that keeps reoccurring where we see in the news of things that shouldn't be happening, but it still is. So I think what you're doing is great, and I think it's a start, and it's something that we really need to focus and get behind, because, you know, the papers and the focus at the moment is gang wars and the stats on how many's been murdered at the moment. But then if we go back to basics, we can see where we went wrong. And it's really just getting these talented young kids to really just harness their talents. You know, because we forget that the younger generation, they almost don't need us, because there's this whole online platform, digital explosion, where they are self-producers and they do have the platform to be heard, you know. And I think we really need to sit down and ask them, what do you need, what do you want, how can we help you? And I think until we do that, we won't get to see them launch to a positive next step. Yeah.
So let's finish on a positive note.
Yeah.
What's your dream?
Brilliant. My dream for the youth or in general?
For you.
Okay. For me, I aspire to continue to be just a really good journalist. I love speaking to people, getting to know people. Almost the next Oprah Winfrey, can I say that? Yeah, so I would love to just keep meeting artists, do one-to-one, the one-to-one hard questions with artists. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for appearing on The Big Question today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, isn't she an inspirational young lady? There I was. I sat quietly on the tube the other night wondering, you know, catching my own thoughts, and do you know, I feel blessed meeting you today.
So much.
I feel blessed.
Thank you.
So for me, Ian Pelham Turner on ARB UK Television, The Big Question, and from Buky here, it's a wonderful day to actually listen to something as inspirational as this. I hope you feel inspired, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care and bye for now.
Thank you.